the big news of the week, if it's really big news, is that Kevin Owens has now re-signed.
Yeah, he's re-signed with WWE. We did identify that the Liv Morgan, Sammy, Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles would be the next 4 contracts that were up. I think AJ Styles owes a few dates or a few months, maybe even on his. But one thing that I think got cut off one of the versions of the show we did, because there was one version that we changed last week. Do you remember? We recorded one and then we changed it in terms of giving less acknowledgement to trolling, etc. But on that version, we went through contracts, and I'm not sure if that made it onto the show, where I was explaining to you that contracts end on January 1st, February the 1st, May the 1st, sorry. Someone would go, oh, you're making it up.
It was the start of the year because it's a clean thing. It was right after WrestleMania because that's another clean cut.
Rumble as well. There's February 1st too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's January 1st, February the 1st, April the 1st, and September the 1st. So these days signify that the January 1st signifies the end of the year. So obviously you can make a decision on whether you want to keep this guy at the end of the year and whatnot. You can sign guys after the Rumble on February the 1st, or cut them after the Rumble. You then also always keep contracts going. If they're past the February point, you keep contracts going to WrestleMania. So you can have guys coming in, signing in, I don't know, maybe 23rd of Feb or 22nd of March or whatever. But they'll make sure the expiration on those is on April the 1st to make sure that, why do I keep saying April 1st? May the 1st, to make sure that you get past Mania. And then the other one was September the 1st. That means that you get past SummerSlam because there's no September SummerSlam. So, yeah, I was always told that on the 1st of the month, after all the major pay-per-views, which doesn't include Survivor Series, because obviously that will run all the way till January the 1st, these will be the dates that contracts run out. So you don't have contract expirations on, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 22nd, things like that. They have clean finishing dates. And in this instance, Owens was the 1st of February. You had AJ coming into WWE back in 2016 with the other guys from the Bullet Club, Anderson and Gallows. They had expiration dates of February the 1st.
AJ was February 1st? I thought it was always been heard that it was January 1st, but it was February?
Yeah, it was February 1st, yeah. And he had February the 1st. AJ Styles has a February the 1st. So AJ Styles continues on so when he signed before the Rumble, his contract runs out on February the 1st. The first one ran out on February the 1st, 2019. And he signed a few months before that, I think just 6 weeks before that, actually. And his next one runs out in 2022. But he owes a few dates on that. And you can also work out things where you temporarily extend contracts to the next Mania. You can have 2-month extension, 3-month extensions. We've had Dolph Ziggler in the past working without a contract for a while because people like that are trusted not to go off in the middle of a storyline whilst not wanting to commit to an extra year. So, I've all these kind of contracts. But as I said, just to reiterate, it's important to understand that they make sure, based on experiences in the past, that you're not building someone up for WrestleMania and their contract runs out before Mania. You're not building towards a Rumble and a contract runs out towards a Rumble. You're not building up towards SummerSlam and they can leave before SummerSlam like Ultimate Warrior could have done. But that wasn't down to a contract expiration. That was down to a contract dispute. Jeff Jarrett was one who was able to leave, but that also wasn't a major pay-per-view. You remember when Jeff Jarrett held him up for the China money. So they try and take care of that as much as possible. But as I said, January the 1st is one where it's very, very much clear cut, almost, where you want this guy for the next year, you don't want this guy for the next year. That normally comes down to newer people. But you actually have a lot of February the 1st expirations or re-signings where you're looking at Owens, AJ Styles, Anderson and Gallows at one point. Becky Lynch was another one who negotiated and signed just after Royal Rumble and has a February 1st expiration, but a long time on a contract. And her contract, as I mentioned before, is the highest paid women's contract at $1.5 million. So you've got Dave Meltzer this week coming in and saying that the Kevin Owens deal was somewhere between $2 and $3 million. Let me tell you something. There's no way that dude got $2 to $3 million. He knows that AEW were very interested in this guy. We know that Meltzer is on the AEW payroll, so he's trying to save face and say, "Hey, he really wanted to go to AEW because it's the best place to be, but they offered him stupid money to stay, $2 or $3 million to stay. He's getting more than Becky Lynch. He's getting more than The Miz, you know, who's always re-upped his money every single time. He's just shy of Seth Rollins. He's getting just $1 million or $1.5 million less than Roman Reigns." I swore twice. It's not the case at all. He's not getting. He's got a decent contract. He's got a decent 7-figure contract, and he may make $2 to $3 million a year if he's a babyface. One of the main factors wanting to re-sign him is because he has been a top 10 merchandise mover for his entire run. Even that T-shirt with his face on it, which notoriously I like the wrestling T-shirts with faces on them. I just say, look, if you're going to watch wrestling and you're going to buy a wrestling T-shirt, it doesn't matter if it's got the face on it. I don't care. I don't need some stupid logo like where you're trying to be an Affliction T-shirt, which is what they did to Randy Orton, and pretend it's not wrestling. Like, if I'm going to wear it, I don't give a shit. I'll only wear it to the gym and stuff anyway, maybe to wrestling shows. I'm not going to wear it out on a date. So it doesn't really make any difference to me. Like, so I've
I could try and impress women with your wrestling T-shirt.
Not at all. Like, so that's even recently. Actually, I'm at the moment talking to a girl who's super hot and is a massive wrestling fan.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's an easy in.
I'm gonna try and get her on the show one week.
That's when you call up Drew. Hey, excuse me, I just need to call my friend real quick. Hello, Drew McIntyre.
Oh no, she's already got the tickets and everything hooked up. Because like that there's no like, because that's it. These girls, once they get an in and they're hot, the WWE will get them. All the wrestlers will get them on the shows anyway. Get them to the shows anyway. So what was I saying about Meltzer? Yeah, this is crap. He's not getting that much money. He may make that in the end, but
because of merchandise sales only.
Yeah, but the downside guarantee is not anywhere near between $2 and $3 million. He's not getting more than The Miz. The Miz has just got himself up to $2 million on his last contract, and he does a lot of stuff on the outside. Like, he does a lot of overtime work and whatnot. So Kevin Owens is not making more than Drew McIntyre. Let's put it that way. So yeah, that wasn't true, but he did get decent money to re-sign, and it's a short contract as well. It's shorter than other guys have signed for recently, but most importantly, it is a valid contract. And this is an important thing that I never hear any other shows talking about. That's because everybody's a fraud, and they get their news from very basic places like the marketing guys at WWE that will spoon feed little bits in order to keep a positive relationship with some of these dirt sheets. They tried to do that with me and Nick, and it's not something that I'm interested in. I don't need to get Xavier Woods or Big E in an interview where they just give me generic answers to spike the rate, to spike the numbers on my podcast. I don't care. I don't care that much about wrestling or about covering wrestling to do that. So I've never been into that. I'd rather just break the news that I want to break. So no one's talking about the fact that one of the reasons why we've seen WWE exercise their option to release so many people, and you're probably bored of hearing this, but it's for people that are maybe tuning in for the first time. Every contract that was signed before 2020 isn't valid. Like, they can honor it if they respect you and they want you to stay in the company, which is obviously the case for a lot of people when you're looking at Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair, people like that. But it wasn't the case for Braun Strowman, and it wasn't the case for Bray Wyatt. When you're at that level and you're not a Brock Lesnar or a Roman Reigns, there is a minimum number of dates that you must make in order to achieve your downside guarantee. We know what happened in 2020. We know there was no touring or anything like that. Nobody made the dates. I believe Oscar was the top performer in terms of matches or appearances.
Where the hell is she, by the way?
Oh, she's just off at the moment. There's no real reason behind it, other than the fact that she's worked non-stop for a while without a break. But yeah,
I've forgotten about her. She's been gone for so long.
Yeah, her and Bailey will be back soon in time for Mania season. But yeah, so she I believe worked 56 times last year, and that is half, not even half, of what the downside guarantee minimum number is, which is set at 120. So in order to your contract to remain valid, you need to make 120 performances from the WWE. It doesn't mean you have to do 120 wrestling matches, but you need to log into work or sign in, as the regular folk do. They swipe in. So you need to be seen 120 times throughout the year. Nobody did that. So there's no ground to stand on here. Like the firing of you can be, they're saying budget cuts and whatnot all of the time, but it can also be down to the fact that these contracts are null and void. And these contracts are null and void. Nobody's going to win a court case against WWE for an unfair dismissal against the null and void contract because nobody achieved their minimum amount of appearances. And the contracts which are designed by WWE or not designed, gone through by WWE lawyers, they will always protect the WWE. That's the problem with this wrestling industry and this wrestling mentality. Becky Lynch went out there and got herself a top agent to do her contract for her. She's completely clued up to what she's doing. And Charlotte Flair done the same. Roman Reigns would do the same. That there's certain people that are going to conduct themselves in a certain way. These other wrestlers, they've all allowed themselves to sign contracts where everything favors the WWE. So if you don't make there is no such thing as pandemic protection prior to 2020, but they already had pandemic protection anyway. They've already got stuff in there where they can pretty much fire you for anything, for a wrong tweet, any kind of incident here or there, like you look at the Jeff Hardy situation, or as I said, the failure to reach a minimum number of dates for whatever reason it would be. So that is a situation. And Kevin Owens, much like Matt Riddle, they now have completely valid contracts that don't have these minimums in there. They have valid contracts with everything figured in, and there's also clauses in there if WWE to resort back to Thunderdome. So when people are going, "Oh, this is over," they probably dismantle that. No, it's sitting in a warehouse, and there is a backup plan to go back to the Thunderdome at any time. And the way that your government are acting, with Joe Biden being a complete clown, that could be something that happens.
Do you know when Liv's contract is up? Is she a February 1st?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're against the clock with her.